10 after 7.
That's live streaming and recording.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we decided to have this meeting because housing and land use should really be working closer together on a lot of the issues that are going on, especially all this construction. And I'm so sorry, I can't find my notes.
Do you want me to do the comment statement?
Oh, you can do that. Oh, actually, we should introduce ourselves.
Right, okay. So you guys want to start it off?
Yeah,
The conduct statement.
All right, so first I'll read the conduct statement. So community board 11 meetings must be held in a professional and hostile-free environment. The following rules of conduct are applicable to the members of the public, community board 11 and community board 11 staff. Any action or behavior that disrupts or interferes with community board 11 business will not be tolerated during any community board 11 meeting and may result in the individuals being asked to meet. If the action or behavior continues, this may be considered disturbing the peace and the appropriate authorities may be summoned. If the meeting is held remotely, the person may be muted or expelled for the remainder. Repeated violation by the same person or group of people may result in further action by the community board. All public speakers must address the full board of the committee with their concerns. Electioneering or position other than an officer of community board 11 is prohibited. Engaging in acts of violence, including threats, are grounds for immediate suspension of the right to attend meetings, pending review by the Ethics and Disciplinary Committee. Respect the equality, diversity, and privacy of all persons by respecting the valuing differences of culture and opinion. Refrain from unpleasant or disparaging remarks and other actions. Abstain from all forms of harassment by actively discouraging it, and disseminating false information is prohibited. Now we'll go over to the introductions for our parents and members.
You list the housing list first.
oh, okay. My name is Hazel Mura. I am the chair of the housing committee.
My name is Kenneth Gelnick. I'm the chair of the land use committee. Maybe I should sit on the other side because you're currently the camera is over there.
I'm moving back.
All right.
Okay, so I'll introduce myself. My name is Christine Culpepper and I am on both committees.
My name is Malcolm Gray. I'm on the housing committee and also sergeant of arms.
Cynthia Rodriguez, Land Use Committee.
Harry Santiago, Land Use Committee.
Juanita.
Hi, Juanita, Housing Committee.
Okay.
So no one else? That's
Yeah,
it?
that's it.
That's it. All right, so that was introductions. Hi, everybody. Thank you. Thank you guys for joining. Whoever's here on video. Can't really see the names from where I'm sitting. Sorry about that.
You got Cass, Manuel Dyer, Delgado, DCP, Amanda Finch.
And just for the record, we do have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. So we have a couple of homeless shelters going up within the community and two of them that I have an update on is 2443 Poplar. And that's supposed to be opening or is targeted to open the third quarter of 2024. And 1364-1400 Blondell. The target opening is the fourth quarter of 2024. And that's, I believe that's calendar year and not fiscal year. The difference is calendar years, of course, from January to December and fiscal years from July to June. Mr. Toon, I don't know what his last name is. Tun. Can you elaborate on that a little bit for us, if you don't mind?
Yeah, I think at the May Housing Committee meeting, I think May 4th. I'm just looking back at the email I sent 2 weeks after that or so on May 15th to Jeremy and others about an update. So I think at that meeting, the May Housing Committee meeting, there was some questions about the status of those proposed shelters. And the department that I represent, the Department of City Planning, is not involved with that. So I reached out to contacts I have at the Department of Homeless Services to see if they could share an update with me that I could then share back with you all. So that's what I did. And what I heard back from the Department of Homeless Services is indeed, as you said, Hazel, that for 2443 Poplar Street, that site is moving along and that they're looking to open that in the second half of 2024. And I understood that to be the calendar year of 2024. And then for 1364 Blondell Avenue, it's basically the same. Site is also moving along, and that they're looking to open the site in the second half of 2024 as well. And then I think at the time, and there might be, I think from Mr. Dyer also at the time, if I remember correctly, request to also ask about 2028 White Plains Road. And there the update I got was that there was no update, as that was no longer a DHS, so like a Department of Homeless Services site. So they didn't provide me with anything because they are not involved with that. And I asked Jeremy and others to share that with the Housing Committee and others. But that's all I got because my department, again, is not involved with that. So I basically just relaying the information that I got from the Department of Homeless Services.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
No problem.
I'm gonna throw you a question out of left field. 1682 Stillwell, do you guys know anything about what's going on that property?
I don't know what is going on with that property. I remember that I think there were building permits that were applied for maybe like a year or two ago, but I hadn't seen like construction on the site, and I don't think those permits were used afterwards. That's all I know. I just know that from like I think 2020, 2021, they were looking for building permits, but I hadn't seen anything go up after that.
Interesting.
That was the homeless shelter.
Okay, thank you. I mean, there is something going on there. And from what, I don't have my notes, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna try to remember this.
So initially, there was some conversation that Jeremy was able, or some information that Jeremy was able to get that said it was a DHS project, and then they came back and said it was
But it
not.
wasn't, right, so I
Right.
don't really know, but I know,
DHS said one thing, DHS said another.
right,
Mhm.
typical. But it, on the permit itself, it does state that it's some kind of a dormitory. It says something about 200 beds.
Mhm.
So it's a shelter.
And there's a couple of floors or that have already gone up.
What is the whole thing?
So it's like nobody wants to take responsibility for this property. I've been trying to search to see what city agency is gonna be involved. Nothing is on the computer, nothing is on the regular sites that we've looked at. I have my staff looking into it, almost every single day. They're so sick of me already. But I also, I get the information from the Department of Buildings, so I do have my staff look at the permits to make sure, they're not anywhere here and they're not trying to sneak anything by us. And I know I said that at the community board that, my staff, shouldn't be doing that. I don't mean they shouldn't be doing that. I'm saying that there's no reason why they should be doing that, because this should be information that should be made ready available to us.
Yeah.
We should not be going over there doing like a treasure hunt,
Something going.
looking for this stuff. It
Yeah,
doesn't make any
yeah,
sense to
something-
me.
Something going on there.
And then when we go on the sites that we're supposed to go on, there's like nothing there, and then all of a sudden, everything just pops up, and
When it's too late.
we're left holding the bag, and then the community gets upset at us.
That's right, exactly.
Because, oh, why didn't you tell us? Well, we're telling you as soon as we find out. So it's really frustrating, and like I said, my every Monday, I get this information and I give it to my staff member Henry, and he, we have a little spreadsheet that he created, and he looks at everything, and So it's really frustrating when you can't find the information that you need, no matter how much you're digging. So something, something has to give, because there has to be some kind of change.
And then it's-
Policy is not
you know,
making
we'll
any
go through
sense.
to the end, it's probably like really secretive and stuff.
Well, it doesn't make any sense, especially when, it's not fair to us that we don't know. And it's not fair that DHS will turn around at the last minute and say, oh, yeah, that is our property. And we don't have enough time to do anything about it, and then everybody gets pissed off at us, so. We have to the city has to come up with with better policy on disseminating information, because this doesn't make sense the way they're doing it.
So you haven't seen any work permits at all come across your desk in regards to that site on Stillwell?
So just to be clear up front, the Department of City Planning is not involved with building permits. I looked at the same database, like, I don't know, like a year or more than a year ago, and I saw that there were permits there, but I didn't see anything like materialized there. I think what I can do is the same as what I did back in May, and I can reach back out to Department of Homeless Services and just see if they have an update for this site. And it hasn't ever been brought up by them, and I can ask if they have an update, if they have any awareness of that site. I do know, like, 200 beds. That's what I know from those older permits, but I don't know. I can ask for a status update on that one as well.
So, we have looked into the owners of this property and looked at some of their portfolio and some of the acquisitions that they have made. And they've acquired hotels in the past that is part of their portfolio, right? And so I think that the suspicion is that they're building as of right, so they don't need to get any community board input, right? Or approvals. And there's no rezoning happening here. So they don't need to go through the ULURP process. So, and they've also probably heard that RCB board, or Community Board 11 has a history of maybe shutting down things and probably trying to stay under the radar. Because of the history we have of with other developments of this sort. So the thing is, and we definitely want that in the future, these things don't try to get circumvented, right? We want community input, even if it's just, advisory, right? We understand that we may not have any real power here, but we still want, a relationship with the developments that are happening in our communities. Apart from what is coming to our community boards, the development there, how it's being done should also be concerned to the whole community, right? Is this responsible development that is happening? Not just the type of thing that's being built, but how it's being built. And so when I went there, I observed, some safety violations that I reported, and then they subsequently got a partial stop work order. So apart from, the concerns that people might have about what's going on there, I just want to make sure that this is not posing any, harm to the public, right? That there is no danger to, no safety concerns to the community, pedestrians, or neighboring property, and that the workers there are not being put in danger or being exploited. So, 10, can you give us maybe some advice as to what we should be looking for at this stage in the development?
Yeah, I find that a difficult question to answer, also because of the things that you mentioned, that it's an as of right development that gets building permits, and there's not necessarily like a public review process as part of that. And I also just don't know what they want in terms of an like, you know, an end use. Like if it was going to be like a shelter site that like any city agency was involved in, and I have never heard about that site specifically. It's really hard for me to say because, like, you know, like as of right development, there is just, you know, across the board not a public review process involved with that, and I just find it hard for this site to say what the future use of that site will be, and maybe the future use would trigger some, you know, public review process or whatnot. But generally, for as of right development, like my agency, the Department of City Planning, has no role in that, and in general, the community board or the community in general doesn't have a big role to play in as of right development, just as a result of, you know, just by the name of it, as of right. So I find that really hard to say. Like I can also look on my end and, you know, look if I can pull anything from the publicly available databases that could be of help, and I'll definitely reach out to the Department of Homeless Services if they have any awareness. But if it would just be a normal as of right development, I agree with you. It should be like, you know, safe construction, and it shouldn't like impact the neighboring properties. But I cannot point you to something that you know that would be of immediate help.
Let me
Or
just
as of
ask you
right
this,
development.
because you might have a little bit more knowledge on it. If they had this developer, if they had an MOU with DHS for future maybe leasing to DHS in the future on this property, would they have to be transparent about that, even if there isn't any signed contract, just an MOU?
I wouldn't know from the top of my head whether they would have to disclose a memorandum of understanding about a property. I don't know. I would have to check back in.
All right, thank you. Thanks, appreciate you.
Yeah, I don't think they
So, one question.
Yeah.
You know, those memorandums of understanding, are they filed anywhere that you know of?
I don't know. It's just that for the Department of City Planning, they like we usually don't play a role in any like shelter site conversation. So I'm like I don't know from the top of my head, but I can ask if any of those like binding agreements or contracts, if they would be publicly available or not, whether they would like get posted in the city record that an agency has entered one. I need to check back in with like our legal department and see if they have an answer for that. I don't know from the top of my head.
Could you get back to us?
Yeah, of course. I'll also reach out to Department of Homeless Services to see if they have any specific information about this site or are aware of any. You know, maybe it's another use that is not directly related to the Department of Homeless Services, but maybe they are aware of because, you know, it touches upon their mission. But I'll ask for an update and I'll report back to what I hear.
Okay, great. We would really appreciate that.
MOUs.
Robert, did you have?
I have something from when we, what happened in Board 8. Stag is building a market rate building, which the community board approved. And as the building went up, the vice president of Stag was told to find a nonprofit. And then that became a homeless shelter from a city, DHS contract. So but you can approve a certain building and it can change once it leaves the.
Oh, yeah,
community board.
we know that.
And
That happened in my communities.
And the board
Definitely
can
know
pull
that.
in the developers that speak about this. You have that power.
I don't know if a memorandum has to be filed anywhere, because
No.
we always, have them with different agencies and different community organizations, and it's just something that we file in our file just to have. So I don't know if they have to do that, or if they have to even disclose it to us.
You asked them for it.
We can ask.
No, I'm the FOIA.
Oh, if we can ask, but I don't know if.
Yeah. Mhm.
If it's not a government, it's not a contract, it's just.
So in other words,
like
They
something-
build it and then it.
A gentleman's
the city?
agreement, sort of.
Yes.
That's
I'm sorry, what?
That's gonna happen now. They build it and make it real pretty. Oh, we're gonna lease this for X amount of money, a year, a month, or whatever.
Yeah. Well, they, and like Robert said, they can change their minds after
It's built.
It's built. I mean, the building that they built on Dwight's and White Plains Road in my neighborhood, they said we're gonna have underground parking, because our parking is one of the big issues we have, not only in my neighborhood, everywhere else. And they came in front of the community board and we said, okay, you know, that's fine and blah, blah, blah. And then we found out that
No underground parking?
according to them, they could not build it because of the bedrock. So. All right, so
So, even though a, property is being built,
That's Oral. Hey, Oral, can you put your camera on? Cause Bernadette kind of wants to, yeah.
Open meeting.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry
Yeah.
about that.
Juanita also, I'm sorry. Open meetings law. Thank you.
Okay, even though a, property is being built as of right, there are ways you can challenge the developer. They're called zoning challenges to make sure that they're being built according to their approved plan. Because sometimes as a structure is going up, they may change the height, they may change some things that are not according to the plan. So if you want to try to put like a monkey wrench into it, you can, there are zoning challenges that are done with the DOB. You have to try to find out when that part is open where you can make a zoning challenge to the DOB, and then then the developer has to issue show that he is complying with the zoning that's there. But you have to you have to get a set of the drawings to look at them. I think you're able to do that because it's public knowledge, so you should be able to do that, and then find out a zoning challenge to find it, because it depends on what they're building. Like I would have to look at the plans to make sure, because many times people build and it's not built according to their approved plans, and you can stop work from proceeding with that.
Maybe we could challenge the zoning even if the zoning wasn't changed.
What happened?
Maybe we could challenge the zoning even if the zoning wasn't changed.
No, a zoning challenge is that if they're building as of right, you can still look at how they're building it and to the height and to the square footage that they're using to build, because you have to follow certain guidelines, and the guidelines are established by the zoning and the building code. So you can challenge them on there's a zoning challenge that's always issued by the DOB. You have to find out, Jeremy can look into it, that when we can challenge this building and do a zoning challenge, because they open up a time period where the community can issue a zoning challenge.
Thank you.
all right, so should we move on to the next?
Whenever you're ready.
So we wanted to have a discussion on how we can work together going forward. And ideas for future meetings. So that I'm gonna open up to you guys.
Hazel, you said that we get those updates from Harriet about all the. You said your staff puts together, we'll make a spreadsheet of that.
Yeah, whatever pertains to us, to this community, yeah.
Would you be able to send that to me also? Because I don't have anybody that can do that, and thank God that you've got somebody that can do that. Because what my idea is to have the members of the committee, maybe we'll do every housing also, to parcel out the various permits that are issued every month. Have everybody look at them and come back at the next month and see, hey, do we think this is appropriate for this community? What does everybody think about that idea?
Can you elaborate? I'm sorry.
Sure.
Thank
We're gonna get, you get 10 permits. Chair will parcel them out. One, I don't know how many total people we have. Yeah, if there are 5 people, you put it two per person, and you try to make it in the area right where you live. Or as close to it as you can. And then you come back at the next meeting and say, hey, this building is theoretically, because you can very often have a neighborhood that is R6 and is actually, but is only basically 2 and 3 family homes. You come back and somebody's now gonna be making an R6 building, which they're allowed to do. But it's gonna be totally out of character with the neighborhood. And you can possibly come back and we can say, let's see what we can do about this.
Now, you have to understand, some of the permits are just for, like, let's say somebody wants to renovate their basement or add a floor or do something with their garage, you know, they have to put in a permit. So what we do is we have to kind of, yeah, we have to really look at that. Like, we're not gonna go out to somebody that wants to.
In a
renovate.
private home, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
we're not thinking about that
Yeah.
either. I don't think that's anybody's concern,
No, no,
yeah.
so I'm just saying that
Yeah.
information, it's a lot of information that comes in. And we have to decipher what we need to know and.
Well,
we
I
can do
think
it-
it's really important, and maybe oral, because we're kind of in the same business, you might agree. That when we're looking at permits, you know, like, I think that generally what a lot of people tend to do is looking at the, you know, what is like a construction permit, right? Or alteration, stuff like that, and we're not looking, really for like things that would be happening prior to that, right? So like demolition permits. Right. I think we should, you know, start thinking about, you know, pulling those, looking at like what major buildings, which of all of those permits, when we're looking at the other permits that are being filed or pulled, which of them fall into the definition of what a major building
That's
is.
exactly what I said. That's.
Well,
what-
no, there's a definition for major
No.
building, and the major building, you know, thing is, you know, a number of floors or square footage. So it's not just a 2-3 family house. It has to supersede, you know, square footage or floors.
I understand, no, I completely understand that, and so does my staff, and so we know what to look for, we know how to.
I know, but
decide.
we're-
Just-
But we're
I was
talking
just-
about now just working.
Yeah, I was
amongst
just-
us as well.
I was just trying to explain the kind of permits that have been coming in and what the difference is. There are a lot of different permits, so.
You,
Like what type of permits are you guys looking
one
at?
question, do they also get the demolition permits in those?
They send everything, they kind of send everything, it's a whole list. And it's not just us, it's the whole Bronx, and we have to look through it and take out the ones that are.
But there's an
specific.
actual map on the DOB website that flags where the major buildings are. And we don't need to look at the whole Bronx, we just need to look at the
I
area that's in
understand. I'm
CBL.
talking about what we're getting from DOB. If you have a different way of looking at it, that's fine.
This is what we're
We
here to
can-
talk about.
Yes.
I like, you know, figuring that out.
I know, but
So rather, I think that your staff, which we all appreciate, you know, they're doing work that they're not supposed to be doing, but we'd like to get involved in helping, you know, either you or Ken, you know, look at that. So that's what we're here to do, figure out how we sort of, you know, break that, you know, responsibility up, right?
that's fine, that's what we're here to discuss that.
Yeah.
You can, I'll tell you later.
Yeah, I just think it's part of, in the interest of collaboration.
Yes,
I think is.
Definitely, if you guys want to do it.
You
that's
know,
fine with me.
Yeah, I think it's important to delegate. You guys are the chairs and we're here saying we want to help with that. So it's up to you guys.
Second. Hey, Rich, how you doing? Can you put your camera on, please, if you can?
I'm traveling at the moment. That's why I'm a little late. I just got back. So
If it's not possible, you're good. It's good.
okay.
All right. Yes, but as Christine was saying, yeah, I know that there is a tool on the current buildings that breaks down the bigger buildings, and you could what you call it, decipher it based on the size and stuff like that. Maybe it might be beneficial to have DOB to do a tutorial as to how we could best use their tools for our needs. So everybody in the board, everybody within our committee, especially everybody in the community, can also know how to use it themselves. And also maybe a good idea to also bring in sorry, DCP is on the who again? Not DCP, Europe is on the who again?
Here's the interactive map.
City planning, yes, maybe even city planning to even show us exactly the steps of ULURP and, you know, and how we as a community board can use ULURP to our advantage to get the information that we need.
We're in the DOB.
Yeah, DOB did come and make a presentation a few months ago. Yeah,
So you just,
on,
you know,
on how to use
put
their
in,
website and stuff, but let me see if they'll be able to
DOB
come in and
major
do a
bills.
little more.
Okay, cool.
So the
Cause
DOB,
it is a lot,
so the DOB is the one that issues the permits, right?
yes,
So they would know what's going on the property?
They should.
if they look it up, yes.
So in other words, I'm gonna with a piece of paper, I want a permit for this, I'm gonna ask you, what are you doing on this site? Blah, 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 he's making a
It's
shelter.
an application that you have to fill
I'll
out.
be honest, what does it tell us what's the permit's for? No, I don't think so.
Who?
DOB.
Wait,
what's that?
DOB can only, show us what the contractors are putting in.
Right.
Yeah, but they'll tell you
If
at
the
the end,
contractors are lying, DOB is
but the
not.
thing is,
Right.
in the
Unless there's a
permit,
complaint
before
for
they
it,
get the permit, they already know what they're gonna build on that site?
Based on the,
they have,
based on the permit.
yes,
What the permit is saying, that's what the.
right.
Yeah.
Now, just because they say they're gonna do this and that.
Doesn't mean they're gonna do
doesn't
it.
mean
Right,
they're
right,
gonna do
right,
it.
right. Fine,
So that's, you have to always be very careful about stuff.
they
like
could just
that.
turn it around.
I mean, I have landlords, well, let's not get into that.
This is
I can
just
tell
a
you
brand new
stories.
permit.
So just for clarification, I understand that one of the sources of information is your office, right?
Mhm.
Or, and it's something that you've been offering us kind of as a courtesy, not as an obligation, correct? What can we, as a board, does the board receive this same information that you receive?
I get it from the board.
So
They
you
send
get
it
it
to the
from,
board and Harriet sends it to me. I had requested this when this whole thing started.
okay.
Nobody was doing this. Nobody was doing this. And I said to them, well, I want to be able to get this information because we need to stay on top of this. And I told my staff, I said, let's look at this and see what's going on in this community and start pulling, those permits that are going to be an issue for us. So that's what we've been doing.
I think Ken's idea can work in the sense that if we are getting that list, I think we got that list one time, that whole list entire just once. If we get that list and that list is disseminated throughout the entire board, then we will have 30+ eyes on it, and then people can look at what developments is going on in their specific area, and then they can report back to you as the chair of housing and Ken as chair of land use as to, well, this may be a eyesore or issue in this.
That's, I don't have a problem with that. The more people that can help, the better. My staff,
That's what we're saying, yeah.
yeah, my staff doesn't, I do it because I'm interested in what's going on in this community. I am a housing person, so I need to know what's going on in this community.
No, we get that. That is your job.
Yeah, I need
And
to
we
know.
all have a vested interest in the community in which we live in, right? And so what we're saying is, since you have been getting those, that information, it hasn't been shared with any of us.
Yeah.
So we're kind of lost and we can't help you if you're going on vacation, right? And which you're allowed to do, which we're all allowed to do, right? Then, somebody can pick up the slack while you're gone, while Ken is busy, right? Or if I'm gone, then there's definitely, more hands on to be able to keep,
So in other words, the information
An
that
eye
he
on
gets
things.
should be emailed to
yeah,
us.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, that ain't just us. I mean,
I haven't got an email from the committee yet.
I think that there is a way to have a conversation at a full board meeting to say that, look, like, we need all hands on deck, we need all eyes on deck. And it's also too, it's like we also have to cater the conversation to a little bit better than how we've been catering the conversations in the past year or two, right? There's always been development, this outrage, protests. We get information. We don't get anything more than just the preliminary stuff.
Right.
I think there has to be a conversation that comes from both of our committees to say, well, look, these are the developments that are happening in our community, and we need to approach this in a professional manner in which we are investigating and trying to get information to figure out how best can we tailor these developments to benefit our committees, our communities.
Right, because moving forward, if we don't do that strategically what a lot of these developers are gonna do, and they've already probably seen what's happened here historically with, you know, our approach to other, you know, homeless shelters or supportive housing or anything affordable housing. They're looking at this and they're like, we don't want to deal with CB 11.
Yeah,
This is not the way that, so they want to stay under the radar. And no matter what is coming here, you know, whether it's as of right or it's done through some sort of public funding, we have to develop professional relationships with, you know, developers.
And even with Just Homes, you know, they published that article in January that it was approved for that area. And
Or 1900?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, 1400
1400, whatever.
Pelham Parkway now, yeah.
yeah, it was,
Shelter
it was
for like
approved.
Valley?
Yeah, and it got slipped into a news article and we had it from, you know.
Because if we're not developing professional relationships with them, right? Because really what we're doing most of the time now is just yelling at them, right? If we're not developing relationships with them, you know, our role here, right, is advisory only, right?
Well, and
They can shut us down completely and not even, you know,
at that point, we're not even advisory, we're just a check on the checklist.
yeah.
We talked to the board, that was it. You know what I mean? So our concerns is not really being taken seriously.
I don't want them to shut us down completely from any sort of input, whether it's, you know, at the inception of something or later down the road.
Did you want to add something?
Okay, so in terms of concrete steps, where are we? I just want to make sure that for the minutes I have.
So I'm gonna, see if, I mean, this is public information, so I'm gonna ask that the information be sent to the, I don't know if we should send it to the whole board.
You don't have to.
Yeah.
It's just-
The committee.
I think
that's the committee.
we should keep that
Alright,
in-house.
that's fine.
Yeah.
The committee, not everybody.
Yeah, I think that it should be sent to all of us. And then maybe we should, you know, take pieces of it and just doing,
is there one column there by address? Of the thing, of the permits?
yeah, there's,
The reason is that way you can figure out, we could look at who's people, with the address of everybody on the board, and you match those to the addresses on those permits. And number one, it'll be less work for you to do, right where you are, as much as possible. Hazel, would you and I possibly could parcel that out, or? We need everybody's address to be able to do it. I'm thinking they have a spreadsheet.
100%.
What,
or you guys can just look at the list
if you want to,
and see which ones are closer to you.
Whichever, I'm gonna check the site.
Just don't show up to my house.
I'm going to do that.
That's fine.
On a somewhat separate note, but still along on the same topic, I don't know how feasible or realistic it is to continue sort of this combined meeting. I think there's so much overlap between the two committees that if we can meet together more often, I think we would be more effective. Because sometimes I find that, you know, what I hear here, and then, you know, if I sit in on one of your committee meetings, it's like I'm a little lost. I think we would benefit from more
Pooling our-
togetherness,
our
pooling our
resources.
resources.
All right, we can do that a couple of times a week. I mean, we have housing issues that we need to deal with that have nothing to do with land use. And you guys have issues that have nothing to do with housing. So I think meeting together when it's appropriate
Yeah.
is something that's doable, yes. Definitely.
So we have a plan, yes?
Any other
Not every meeting.
suggestions?
Well, exactly, not every meeting.
No, there's stuff that we need to deal with on our own.
Oral, red, 28, everything safe?
Would you say, Martha?
Do you guys have anything to say?
I mean, I think you guys are talking about the spreadsheet that we get. I get that spreadsheet as well. My opinion is it's a data dump. Yeah, if you guys want to go through and sift out the addresses, that's more eyes the better, like Hazel said. That's a good first step.
Juanita or
Hazel, when you get the information for the permits, right? You can cipher out the bigger buildings versus the simple kitchen renovation, basement renovation, house addition. You can cipher through that. You can see it, right?
It
You
says
can
new
see
building
this.
versus alteration.
It has a description.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
I'll,
from the description, you know what it is. Yeah, definitely.
So once you have that, the major work, like a brand new apartment building, you have that information. A 16-story, 6-story building built in an R6 zone. Those are ones we may want to challenge
Yeah.
what's going on there. Correct?
Yeah, you can see them when they'll stand out. That's for sure.
Okay,
I'm
so
not
so
gonna pull it up.
those will be the ones
Okay.
that you can distribute to, I don't know, Malcolm or whoever else is wants to get involved with this, and they can look into it further. But when you look into it further, you have to go to the Biz DOB website, and then they have to fill out a form where you can go. You type in the address or the building or lot number, and then you go down to the description of the building, right? And you can cipher through that, and then from there, once you see that information, then you can go further into it and see what's going on.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that's what you do. You get the information like from from Hazel, sorry. And then you yourself can go to the DOB website, look on the Biz, whatever, and then type in the address or the block and lot number from the permit that you get or from the application, and then look into it from there. Because I don't think we want to go through every single like house renovation, kitchen renovation, bathroom change. We don't have to go. We don't want to go through those, but we'll go through the major ones. And Hazel and you would have that information.
Now you're saying something different. Now you're talking about me doing all the work and then I thought we were gonna share the work.
Yeah.
Yeah. now
Okay, so
we're
if
back
you
to
do,
square one, so.
so I got it wrong then. So if we do share the work, so who would
Let
get
me,
all
you
of
know
those?
what, let me take a look at the list and see how it could be broken up easier.
That's a work. We
Yeah.
could workshop it.
Hazel can also send it out to the. Well, I know we get the whole list. But you said just break, you have it, you send them what kind of spreadsheet you make out of that?
Well, it's an Excel,
It's Excel. Yeah,
spreadsheet.
it's a basic Excel spreadsheet. It's a data dump.
I mean, what are the columns, what are the
All right,
rows? That,
the
Well, I
first
can
column,
look at the top of my
first
head.
column filing date.
Open.
The second is exam
Oh,
date, plan approval date, job number, filing type, filing status, block, lot, house number, street, borough, community board.
No
Right.
description of the project.
It
Just
gives, no,
if
it does
it's,
give you,
if it's a new building or if it's an alteration.
Okay,
yeah.
that's not enough information.
It does
I know
tell
what you
you.
want to do.
Well, it's a data dump. That's what we're saying.
I got you.
Yeah,
I got you,
so
Rich. I'm
it's
just
like-
saying that's not enough. You're gonna have to decipher through.
Well, I think that's why I think they're saying we should divide this and go at it one by one.
That's hundreds of filings.
And that's what people want to do. So, I mean, it is what it is.
You know that, Malcolm and guys.
There is-
hundreds of
I
filings.
get three emails,
There-
it's not just one.
There is also the active major construction map.
I
on
said
DOB.
this, yeah.
You can use that too. So, I mean, I did-
Oral, have you ever used this map?
yeah.
Do you know what I'm speaking of?
No, I'm not familiar with it. No, actually.
It's called the Active Major Construction Map.
It's on the website.
Active major construction map.
Active Major Construction, New York City Department of Buildings. It actually gives you, right, in real time, all of the major buildings or the major developments happening in New York City.
Hold on.
All
It
of New York
gives you the
City?
square footage, there it goes.
Hold on, I'm gonna share it for you guys, so you all can see it.
Okay.
Since you're the expert.
Can you see it?
Yeah, can you see it?
So,
Oh, boy.
Got it, yep.
okay, so moving it, oh Jesus,
Welcome to New York.
Just drag it,
Where's the Bronx at?
Coño.
click and drag,
Greensboro.
Okay, so,
Level up.
go up more.
wait a minute, I can't understand.
And,
Manhattan.
I got
Okay,
you.
Still Manhattan.
Where's the-
Rikers Island.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I'm just getting
All right, so right there.
So right here, it's Stillwell Avenue, you see it?
Yeah. Go
And it
over that.
tells you-
Over that bottom bubble.
All of this information, it gives you square footage, it gives you proposed dwelling units, estimated cost, all of this. So, I mean, if you have a list and you just compare it to this, or you look at this and then compare it to what's on the list, I don't know if this is, things that are happening currently or in the works, or things that have been also completed, but it's all here.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm curious about too. Is this thing, are these projects that are in the works completed, or
It gives you an expiration date on the permits.
right?
So
But
when they filed for the permits and an expiration date, so,
okay.
right, what?
Where's Blondell? Go to,
Blondell's,
it's down there.
Westchester, Tremont, right?
too far down. Oh, no, those two dots.
That should be over there by
The two big dots.
Wait, Fremont first.
Yeah,
One of
those
those
two,
big dots.
what are the two, no,
One's the shelter, one's Palando Commons.
Okay.
sorry.
You on curves back over there.
Over here, this
And,
one,
and it's,
That's Commons, and then that's a shelter.
That's what I was thinking.
so that's Blondell. 3 stories,
18 units,
yeah.
3 story.
The other one is the Palando Commons next to it.
Oh, so it says the permit issue date. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys get the general idea.
Mhm.
But it's also, but yeah, it is also good to check out the list and see any new things, to see how we can compare it.
And I mean, like, these maps tell you, or these websites are telling you where all the permits are being pulled. Mostly it's in the Bronx, Brooklyn, right, things like that. And I think I read today that the Bronx had the most demo permits being filed. I think.
Yeah, I use a similar one that they have when I'm looking up existing landlords.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess we can email this to the board, to us. To us. So we have all sight, so you can see it. All right, cool. Any,
That's great. So you can use that as a way to monitor things. It depends, when the permit was issued. I saw something, the permit was issued 2 years ago, things like that. So, all right. I mean,
But it gives you an address, at least you have like a perspective of where things are happening, right?
Yeah.
Where the clusters of development are happening, right? We just can take a ride there, basically, and check it out, right?
Mhm. Yeah. Okie dokie. Sounds good.
so you want to talk about ideas for the meetings?
What?
Hazel,
I'm sorry,
let's talk about ideas for future meetings.
you have ideas? I mean,
For sure.
I think we've gotten at least enough to start now. If we
Right.
try to do too much at once, we're gonna get nothing done. Let's start with these.
so we're gonna see if DOB can come and give us a training.
I think, Hazel, I think at this point, because there is so much in and out with folks, it's like I think this is like the second or third time doing this. They should just come once a year or like every 8 months or something. And we have a standing date with DOB just to come and refresh us on this stuff, because yeah, we've been trained a few times already, so I just think they should come on the set date every
We,
year.
you're right, we have been, but not on this stuff.
Not the map.
They did come and train us. They showed us their website and how to look stuff up, but not in so much detail. And I
Alright.
think that maybe they should come back and give us a little more training, a little more detailed training.
And we can.
That sounds good.
Yeah,
I think we could be, that, for that meeting also, because that'll be very useful. Do we want to? Just interested, we want to do it for the entire board, because if you do it that way, it's gonna end up, you're gonna, I don't know how much.
I don't want to do it for the entire board. No.
You know,
I mean, if, you know, if they want to join, they can, but
Yeah.
I think it's just
Yeah.
for us.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it was their deal. Be
See this map?
Yeah. Oh.
This map.
Yeah, we could go into anything about the gallery sections and.
all right.
So just another question, on I'm using 1682 as an example. But, have we, I'm not sure if we've made any efforts to reach out to the developer, to contact them to see if, just as a courtesy, they would sit with us and give us a, you know, some sort of a talk about what they're planning.
That's
If we
not something
tried-
that I've ever done. We've never been here before. I don't know if I feel comfortable doing that.
We've done that now.
Okay, so then maybe you guys should do it.
When
I,
you guys done that,
um,
we can.
So we can do that, invite.
yeah,
Okay.
I can't, I don't know how to be nice to these people. I'm sorry, I
We-
really
we
don't.
reached out
You
to
have
them.
no idea what I deal with.
Yeah.
We reached out to them and they've sometimes reached out to us.
Okay, so maybe you guys can do that then.
Alright.
So you're gonna reach out, Ken, to them?
Yeah.
Okay.
We talked to Jeremy about getting, how to get it home. Only what we've done is we've had the district manager reach out to them and say, would you come to a meeting of the land use committee to see what's going on here?
Mhm. But you can also do that as well, right?
Theoretically, I can,
Okay.
but so far, until now, I have not done that personally. I've had the district manager reach out, because number one, at that point, it's a city official that's doing it, not me, even though I'm theoretically
Gotcha.
Sure, yeah.
A public,
type
a
of
public.
public
Yeah.
official, but
Mhm.
the district manager, sometimes they'll be more
Carries more
More
content.
inclined to.
willing to talk.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Got it.
we can
So
have,
we're gonna have Jeremy invite them to one of your meetings.
Okay.
Thank you.
will we say the September meeting or October?
We can ask them to come in August, see if they can come.
Perfect.
Sure.
Oh, yeah, I will, okay, yeah, but I won't be here in August. All of August, I'm gone.
Yeah, August is
But-
hard.
Well, I will be on vacation.
Vacation and stuff.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I am not around in
Maybe
August.
September.
Oh,
Yeah, September.
The problem with waiting till September is that there's gonna be a tremendous amount of construction going on until then. The other
You can have
alternative,
it, I mean, I won't be around.
the other alternative is possibly by the end of June, which doesn't give us too much time.
no, July.
It's July.
In July.
Just 2 weeks. Yeah. I mean, go for what you can, obviously, and we'll, as many people can make it, can make it. you
Yeah,
know?
exactly, yeah.
We can try.
We
Yeah.
can try for
You
what?
can ask them.
September.
No, he was saying the end of July, we can see if they have some availability.
At the end of July? What's wrong with August? At the end of August or something?
Well, the thing is that the
July.
summer's major construction season, you know, what I mean?
Already on the way.
No matter which way we do it, there are downsides to it.
Right.
Try for the end of July, and the worst that can say, no, we can't do it, and we'll try later.
Sounds good. As long as you make contact, that's what matters.
Okay.
Alright.
So are they meeting with just land use or are they meeting with both communities?
I think both.
Communities?
I'd say we provide to the land use, and we will tell them that we're also having housing committee there also.
Okay.
Well, if they're zoned for residential, it'll ultimately, right, eventually.
Right. The housing. Okay.
Alright, cool.
But what we don't want is a circus.
Absolutely not. Yeah, no.
No,
We'll have to figure out. I mean, it's not gonna be a town hall, so it's gonna be like this type of meeting, so. So, all right,
All right, so,
gallery.
yeah, let's do the gallery. Do we have
So wait,
speaker signed up?
before we say that, 2 minutes. If you need more than 2 minutes, then ask Hazel or Ken and we'll vote on it, all right? Cool.
Or is that- it could be at their discretion.
All right, I'll do Rob first. Give me 1 second though.
Yeah, but do we have people sign up?
Did any? Diana, has her hand up, though.
Robert.
I may need more than 2 minutes, unfortunately.
You guys.
Okay?
Let's
So,
Wait,
Let's
President
take
Chair.
3.
We'll vote.
How about 3?
Yeah, I saw something that said 3. We have to.
We can do 3 and get a
Up to the chair. I'll
Yeah,
get
to the
three.
chair, up to the chair.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm going,
3?
tell me when.
Y'all want to vote on it or you can vote
Well, they can decide.
and they can decide to.
I've suggested 3 and. we'll-
Yeah.
You got, can you do it at 3?
No, he'll do 3
Right.
now, 3 in the next meeting.
But no, I don't
Three for
want,
each
I don't,
committee.
Okay, Robert.
I just want to make sure that, you know.
Yeah,
Right.
we
I
gotta
don't
get
want
everybody.
anybody to ask for like 3, 5,
Yeah,
yeah.
10, you know,
Right.
that's
Okay.
ridiculous.
All right.
Tell me when.
All right,
So,
I'm gonna let you know at 30 seconds, okay?
Okay, you see, on Community Board 8, we did this with the developers. We brought them in, asked them what they're doing. But the first thing you need to do is have a good rapport with 49th Precinct to use them in case you have to threaten the developer with sending the police out there to ticket their cars. You have to have a good rapport with the buildings department, so you get information from the buildings department. And you have to have a good rapport with the BP's office, because there is a person, Jupan, who was at city planning, who is now with the borough president's office, who can help you with city planning, items. You should also have the institutions come in and give you a 5-year plan like other boards do. Paul Montefiore, since they're gonna be starting to build the children's hospital, you let them give you a 5-year plan on what they're going to do in the next 5 years. Same thing for Jacoby. If they're gonna build more than one building for Just Home, you wanna know what their 5-year plan is. And any other institution, whether it be a parochial school or business that wants to expand, even Con Edison. We call Con Edison, since they're in Van Nest, what is your 5-year plan? Also, you have developers that are going up. You have on Allerton Avenue, the old supermarket, that you don't know how many units are really going in there. You should call in that developer and ask them what they're doing. You know about the Keaton Fine Fair. Blondell Commons should be called back in, to see when they're gonna start building. I believe they're gonna start now. And again, both homeless shelters, the developers, to find out exactly what the plan is gonna be for those shelters, what the buildings are gonna look like. With Blondell going to be 3 stories, but how many rooms and where is there gonna be common areas, or whatever? How many beds in a room, or exactly, you should know what these buildings are gonna look like before they're built. That's it, thank you, probably under 2 minutes.
Did a great job, thank you.
thank you.
All right, before we start, Diana,
Hold on, let me see if I-
give me 1 second, Diana. Focus now. Diana?
Yes.
All right. It's, all
Wait, I'm sorry. I had a question for him.
right, 1 second.
You mentioned, that was something you guys did and CB8 was bringing in the developers.
Yes,
How did that work out? Like, what was,
it worked out fine because our land use chair was a former building commissioner.
okay,
All right, and, there were more professional people, there were lawyers and whatever. But if you know what you're doing, for instance, we have an excellent person at the table right now who's in building. And others who, another one who is in housing. And other people here who are quick at the table to learn.
Mhm.
So it can be done quickly by this board.
and you had like negotiating powers, what you're saying? Were
Well,
you able to kind of make a difference in some of the things that were happening?
yes, we had a proposed 18-story building that we were able to bring down the share of the land use to 14 stories.
Okay. All right,
You have to also be able to negotiate rather than just say no.
got it.
Thank you. Any other questions? Answers? Cool. Diana? 2 minutes.
Yes. Okay. So I have a list of questions. One might be for Ton. on one of the permits for 1682, and it's very confusing because they're split between the current new DOB Now site and the old site. But from the old site, it said it's going to be operated by a nonprofit and sponsored by DHS. So my question is, would that mean that when you ask DHS if they were doing anything there, they would say no, because they're not operating it, they're sponsoring it? So that's one question. Then another question, are there professional or industry publications that we should be looking at too? Like, isn't there a site called YIMBY where they report on new buildings? That might be another place to look for information.
What was the name of that site?
YIMBY.
YIMBY, like yes in my backyard,
Yes, in
YIMBY.
Asking questions for her, she's on time.
Sorry.
And then, speaking as a member of the public, I would love to have a meeting or two a year that would be ULURP trainings that would just explain the process and the deadlines. Because it seems like we got caught, all of a sudden a deadline's in a week, a deadline's in 2 weeks, and there isn't time to do what we need to do before then. And then the last thing is that in addition to buildings going up, one of the things we're concerned about are vacant lots where construction has been started and then abandoned for some reason. Somebody ran out of money, somebody got sick, somebody, who knows what happens. How do we keep track of those? And is there a way of, not letting them stay vacant, because they turn out to be problems because people use them as dumping sites and they just fall into disrepair and overgrown weeds and rat havens, and it's a headache.
Thank
So
you.
when it says operated by nonprofit sponsored by DHS, which I don't know if that's true any longer, but it seems to describe exactly what, 6 floors, 40 people per floor, 5 floors, 40 people per floor, and the first floor is cafeteria.
That's time. Thank you. You guys wanna answer the questions?
So there was a question for Ton about what if it says operated by a nonprofit sponsored by DHS. Does that mean that when you ask DHS, are you doing something here, they would say no, because they're not operating it, they're just sponsoring it?
Yeah, that's a good question. In my phrasing of the question, I just asked for an update on a specific site. I don't go into sort of semantics about, whether they operate it or it's just about their involvement and awareness of a site. That's my question. I can't answer as to if they think about those technicalities when answering my question. I mean, I'm very dependent on the information they share with me also. So if I ask for an update on a site and they say, yes, they are involved or no, they are involved, they expect to open this site in 2024, then, I sort of take that and share that with you. I don't know, but I can ask for the question again for the Stillwell site about, to their awareness, what they know about that site for the future. So that's all I can say about that.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Delgado?
Oh, wait, can I have anyone answer about the vacant lots? About how
We don't have,
can track them, or is there any process or oversight or?
What's the address, Diana, of the property that you're concerned with?
Well, there's 2. There's the one on White Plains Road next to Planet Fitness, and then there's the one on the corner of
Do you have an address?
Parker and Mace. I do, but not right in front of me.
Okay, send that to me and then, you do?
Yeah, I have it.
Okay,
so-
I mean, I didn't want to know necessarily the very specifics, but just in general, is there a process? Is there an oversight? Does anyone have oversight over the abandoned construction lots? Like,
DOB should always, have oversight over what's happening on anything that's being constructed on the property of New York City, right? But I'll look into it.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Diana, sorry to jump in about your question about ULURP training to your committee or the community board in general. I'll flag that for leadership in my office. We have done similar trainings for other community boards in the Bronx, and I'll get back to you on that request.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. Ms. Delgado, you got 2 minutes. I'll let you know 30 seconds.
I'm
30
sorry,
seconds.
wasn't it 3 minutes before?
2 minutes.
2 minutes. Yeah, but if you need
So
3
you said
minutes,
3 minutes. Sorry, what?
no,
I'm sorry, I
second.
can't hear what you're saying. What?
I'm sorry. It's 2 minutes, but if you need 3, you can ask the chairs and they might grant it to you. Okay.
Yeah, but it should be, it shouldn't be selective. If it's 3 minutes
It's
for
not.
one person, it should be 3 minutes.
I'm
for
sorry,
everyone.
Mr. Delgado. It's not. Listen. Hold on. It's not selective. As I just said, if you need 3 minutes, you can request it. It's by request. So, do you need 3 minutes?
Mr.
I
Press
might need
requested.
I might need a little over 2 minutes, but not exactly 3 minutes. But if it
Okay,
goes like
let's
5
Let's give her
seconds
3
over
minutes.
2
Let's give her
minutes.
3 minutes. Okay, we can give her 3 minutes.
3 minutes. Fine.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I'll start right now. And
Thank you so much,
This
Mr.
is exactly
Delgado.
what I do want.
I know
Okay,
what you mean.
so regarding processes and procedures, those are in place for rezoning and homeless shelter. DHS is mandated by city charter to notify community board. And in this case, the community board 11 did not notify the community at large in several instances regarding Stillwell Men's Shelter. They relocated it to Poplar with no public notification or input. And that's why many members within the confine of CB10 make complaints to DOI and I think conflict of interest regarding how Community Board 11 decided to relocate a shelter that's right in their boundaries without any public notification or input. And regarding the rezoning, just Allerton not only was it 2 months non-compliance, but also the fact is that there were meetings held privately with the developer by members of the community board. And then they held a vote right a few days before Christmas where people could digest information with the EAS report that takes at least a week to read. And the ballot referendum actually gave Community Board 11 more grace period to review the EAS report, but because Community Board 11 did not notify the community on a timely basis, that did not happen. With the men's shelter, which I spoke to one member here, she actually said they withheld information about the men's shelter because the prior council members did not want the community to know about the men's shelter. And this is why we almost had that men's shelter open until I notified the community because they already had the hearing with the mayor's office and contract. So the fact is that Community Board 11 is notified, but does not notify the community. And this is an ongoing issue. It's not that people are always saying no, 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 but if you're putting something that the door is ready to open and people are upset because they didn't have any input in this, and usually it's too late to have input because the process already passed its time. But it's ULURP, and ULURP, it's not that hard to follow. If you go to the city planning website, they explain it. They have a primary, 60-second. They have a lot of stuff for people to read and videos. So I think Community Board 11 has to do a better job in following its own mandate, providing community input and community notification. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. That's all the hands I see. Anybody else?
Any board members?
Any board members? All right, going once, going twice. So, all right, that's all.
Do we have any more? I can't think of any more things that we can really.
No, we don't have any motions. Do we have any old business? Business? Besides what we've spoken about?
Oh, well, I guess. The site survey form, the site request form went live on Friday. So I guess if anybody has anything that they might need the committees to come and look at, they can submit on the site request. Where they will have to request the committee, the time, location, and exactly what they would like for us to look at on the website. So that can be found on the CB11 website.
Okay.
And thank you, Serena, for working on that.
All right, if there's nothing else,
One last question. Do we have any updates on Just Home since it was mentioned?
well, the last I heard, they were going forward with it.
They approved?
Yeah, it was in Nowhere News.
Does that surprise us?
Yeah. I was trying
That
to,
doesn't surprise me at all.
no, I knew it was.
Now we're gonna get the blame for that. We're gonna get the
Yeah,
blame
of
for that.
course, we get blamed for
We
everything.
voted not to go ahead with it. Now they're gonna blame the community
But
board.
people don't understand that we're just an advisory board.
Yeah, well,
Sometimes we can make change and sometimes we can't, no matter how much we try. Sometimes the gig is up. I mean, the phrase.
Another thing too, why would we hold back information? We don't gain nothing by that.
No, we
We
don't.
don't get paid for this. It's a
No.
volunteer.
Yeah.
So whatever information they give to us, we give to the
And
community.
sometimes, as you know, Ms. Delgado said,
We're not
sometimes.
holding nothing back. I live half a block from 1682.
Well, so, I mean, look, sometimes we do get the information on time and for some reason it's not disseminated.
But we get blamed.
But
for it.
most of the time, we do not get the information and we'll only have like a day or two. And, it's ridiculous how this system works, but, it's not always our fault, even though we get blamed for everything. Just Homes, we did our best and, the deal was already done before it even got to us, so. There was, really nothing, no matter, we stood on our heads, it was gonna happen.
Yeah.
So-
For that.
But we did give it a good try and a lot of people came together and,
But that doesn't keep us from,
Can I
continuing.
finish? Cause I was gonna say that. We did get together and I hope that momentum keeps going because there are a lot of things coming up and the more that we work together, the better off, we are. And like you said before, people need to know that they can't mess with us. So I really appreciate you
So,
saying that.
what I was gonna say, that doesn't keep us, just because things didn't work out the way most people planned or hoped that it would. That doesn't keep us from, right, like, continuing to try to develop a relationship with Just Homes or Fortune Society, whoever it is that is coming into the community, right? To see what input we can have moving forward. So if the plan was approved, that's nothing, and there's nothing that we could do about that, but moving forward, hey, let's develop a line of communication that isn't based on badgering and yelling and all of these negative things that has kept them from, having, conversations with us about what's happening, right? So that is what I'm trying to say. We can't stop trying to, have input on what is happening in our neighborhood just because this didn't go exactly the way that we wanted it to.
And I think we have to think about the notification of the community, right? Because I can't even tell you exactly what we have in this community. It is impossible for us to literally inform every single person in the community. We try to disseminate information on our Facebook pages, social media pages, as best as we can. Listservs. I know I see Jeremy send notifications all the time. Look, if there's any ideas as to how you think that a notification process could be improved or, improved upon, let us know.
The problem is people don't come to these meetings.
I agree. Yeah.
And then they get pissed off because they don't know what's going on. Just like with the 49 Precinct Council. People need to come to these meetings, those meetings especially. If they have a problem in their community, the cops cannot be everywhere. We cannot be everywhere. If you come to the 49 Precinct Council and you bring an issue, that issue is going to be addressed. Because you have the captain there and you have every other officer that needs to know what's going on in the community. It's the same thing with our committee meetings. It's the same thing with the community board meeting. If you don't come to these meetings, you're not going to know what's going on there. If you make it your business to get involved, you will know what's going on in the community and you might be able to make a difference. You can put out 1 million flyers. I put out a flyer. I had a workshop going on at Bronx House. It was very important because it was talking about the rent regs and everything that
Yeah, I
changed.
saw it.
Right? We had 3 people come. 3 people came to that meeting. And it went out everywhere on social media that I can find. It went I flyed posters, but nobody showed. 3 people showed up. And I had really important guests there to talk about issues that tenants need to know.
Absolutely right.
And then they're gonna call me up and say, oh, well, we didn't know that. Well, you should have come to the meeting. Oh, well, I couldn't make it. Well, then now you have a problem.
Right.
And you want me to solve it. I would have been able to give you the information so you could have solved it yourself.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
You know, it's like, come on,
Yeah.
you have to get involved. If you want to be a part of this community, get involved in the
It's
community.
true, but there are those who prey on that last stuff. But yeah, yes. I'm going to shut down the chat because now it's like it's getting
Personal.
personal.
What does DP mean?
But
District map.
anybody has anything else you want to say, share before we end the meeting?
Want some to adjourn?
Please don't shut down the chat. I'm just about to send some info in the chat. I mean, if someone's abusing the chat, just kick them out of the chat. Don't shut down the whole chat. please.
All right, so
All
all right, Mr. Gobb's gonna warn you this one time. Please don't do that. Do you want to adjourn the meeting?
But they.
All right, I'm not abusing anything. I said something that's a factual, but because you don't like it, doesn't mean it's abuse.
All right. Somebody make a motion?
All right, motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second. Third, fourth.
Oh, thank you. Thank you guys for coming out.
Thank you, guys. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Jeremy, you can,
Jeremy, you can stop recording.
thank you.
You can mute us, mute us.
Hold on. I'm not sure.